It's here! The zombie apocalypse at last! Luckily, you've been keeping yourself informed and up to date on zombie threats and zombie survival strategies because you're one smart cookie that subscribes to the Infographics show, so you're better prepared than most people. Maybe there was a biological outbreak of brain-infecting mold, or evil magicians have summoned forth the walking dead to stalk the earth. Or maybe it's just another episode of The Mandalorian, and now hordes of mindless Baby Yoda fans are trying to convince you that it's actually a good show. Either way, thanks to your frequent viewing of our show, you're already prepared as we've already covered all these situations and more. This time though, we're not going to advise you to head for the hills as we usually do, because this time it's a fight to the death. It's you versus 1,000 walking, shambling corpses, all hell-bent on eating your brains, like space aliens from Zeta Reticuli. How are you going to defeat the Horde? Your battlefield for this fight will be the average American city, which means there will be plenty of resources at your disposal in your one-man war against the Walking Dead. First though, we must know our enemy. The zombie as we know it has its origins in Caribbean voodoo practices, with voodoo practitioners claiming to have the power to create real-life zombies. Modern science has discovered that there might be some terrifying truth to this tale though. In 1980, a researcher named Wade Davis discovered that voodoo practitioners would often powder a neurotoxin found in the pufferfish and other animals called tetrodotoxin. The powder could severely impair brain function and leave an individual in a zombie-like state, although it would require a very precise amount that many scientists were skeptical a voodoo practitioner could accurately measure. Too little and the effect would be incomplete, too much and it would be lethal. One man at least is convinced of the validity of zombies, and that's Haitian CLAIRVIUS Narcisse. He was declared dead only to return home 18 years later, very much not dead. Researchers believe that Narcisse was given a mixture of tetrodotoxin and bufotoxin, which put him in a coma and made it appear as if he was dead. His family thus buried him, and after mourners left, voodoo witches known as Bokor returned and dug him up, then put him to work on a sugar plantation as a mindless slave. He was fed a constant diet of this powerful drug mixture, keeping him in a perpetual zombie state, until finally one day the owner of the plantation died and his drugging ended. The zombies we're putting you up against, though, aren't drug-addled innocent victims. Or maybe they are. Does it really matter? They definitely want your brains, and right now, the point of them being alive or dead is pretty much moot. A zombie's mindlessness can be its weakness, making it easy to outmaneuver and lure into traps and ambushes. But it's also its strength, and we mean that literally. Some scientists believe that our brains regulate our own strength so that we don't inadvertently hurt ourselves by overexerting our muscles and perhaps doing things like ripping them from the bone. For a zombie though, there's no higher mental processes going on, so this lack of a regulator is believed to be the source of a zombie's incredible strength. In other words, you're gonna want to stay out of hand-to-hand combat with a zombie or it'll literally tear you to ribbons. Luckily though, most zombies are fairly slow, despite what some television shows would have you believe. That's simply because when the body dies it begins to decompose, and while the zombie's curse keeps the worst parts of decomposition at bay, much of the body still atrophies and stiffens. Imagine trying to run with two bad Charlie horses. That's pretty much how impossible it is for a zombie to move quickly. What they lack for in mobility though, they more than make up for in numbers, and today you're going up against a whopping 1,000 of them. Before we teach you how to defend yourself, we need to talk zombie biology. There's been much talk about how to permanently put a zombie down. And while the fabled headshot seems to be the hands-down favorite, we have serious problems with that. First, hitting a moving target the size of a basketball isn't going to be easy, even if it is slowly shambling along. There's a reason why police and military are taught to aim center mass, and not go for a cool Call of Duty headshot no scope. That might be impressive in the digital world, but in the real world, it's a great way to get yourself killed. The thing about a zombie is that it still has a skeleton, and like any vertebrate animal, it very much needs that skeleton in order to stay upright. The bones provide a foundation for the muscles to work with and keep you standing on 2 feet. Start removing or breaking bones and you very quickly collapse into a pile of zombie bait, only able to shuffle forward a few feet in a pathetic crawl. For any zombie out there, this is also true. Snap some femurs or break a zombie's back, and that zombie is going to drop faster than a terrible Star Wars film. Break a zombie's neck and wish it good luck trying to bite you when it can't even keep its head up. So don't worry too much about headshots. Instead, keep the tried and true tactic of aiming center mass. Alright, let's talk weapons. First, you're gonna want an option for close-in one-on-one kills. The typical favorite here is the katana, because who doesn't want to be a badass apocalypse street samurai? Well, nobody who wants to stay alive, that's who. Katanas may look awesome, but they're pretty terrible zombie weapons. Firstly, you're probably using the katana wrong. You're not supposed to swing the blade with all your might the way you would a European sword. You're actually supposed to flick your wrist for killing strikes, similar to fly fishing. Secondly, katanas were made more for slashing strikes that could bleed an opponent to death, and zombies are notoriously immune to bleeding to death, by virtue of already being dead. We hate to ruin your weebo fantasy of becoming a post-apocalyptic samurai master, but you're gonna want to stick with a good old axe instead of some fancy katana you'll likely just end up slicing yourself with. Axes are solid, heavy, and can bring a combination of cutting and smashing force down on an opponent, making them perfect for destroying zombie bodies. Another good choice would be something similar to a medieval Morning Star, which can deliver terrifying amounts of crushing power in one blow. Morning Stars were actually the preferred weapon of conscript armies during the medieval ages, as they required no skill to wield and could devastate even knights in plate armor. Remember, you're not going to be able to bleed a zombie to death, but if you smash bones, that zombie will be left a crawling mess and you can easily step over it in no time at all. Alright, maces and axes are great, but as long as you can find ammo for it, little is going to beat a Mossberg Street Sweeper for close-quarters zombie combat. You've probably seen it countless times in shows. The main character gets themselves a shotgun and then saws the front off of it for the legendary sawed-off shotgun. Is there more an iconic post-apocalyptic weapon? Maybe the chainsaw, and even then only wielded by a time-traveling S-Mart clerk missing a hand. Here's the thing though, leave that barrel exactly where it's at, or at most saw it off only a few inches. You want your shotgun to be versatile and still be able to peg a target at a moderate range while providing massive firepower at close quarters. If you saw the barrel off too short, the pellets in the shotgun round are going to spread far too wide to do much good against a zombie. Remember, you need to cause massive physical destruction to a zombie's body, not just shower it with shotgun pellets. Keeping a tight spread will deliver horrifying amounts of kinetic energy to a small area, effectively turning your shotgun into a zombie disintegration cannon. Now we're going to be looking at how to kill groups of zombies at a time. Luckily for you, you're fighting in a modern city, which means one thing: there's plenty of supplies to scavenge. When it comes to taking out groups of zombies, nothing's better than a homemade grenade. Except for, a real grenade. Anyway, the first thing you want to do is find yourself some fireworks, which may or may not be that difficult, depending on your local county regulations. If you can't find fireworks, then simple sparklers will do. If fireworks are not legal in your county though, then don't despair, because remember, this is America. Fireworks may be illegal in many places due to safety concerns, but bullets definitely aren't. So get yourself some bullets and simply pry them apart. Whether using fireworks or bullets, what you're gonna get at is the powder inside. That black stuff inside a bullet casing isn't pepper, it's gunpowder, and it's what makes guns work. You'll want to get yourself a good amount of the stuff and set it aside. Next, start collecting aerosol cans and tinfoil. You'll want to pack gunpowder into the curved bottom of an aerosol can, and then use a piece of string soaked with lighter fluid and run it from the gunpowder up the side of the can. Use tinfoil to keep the whole thing together, and you should be left with a tinfoil wrapped aerosol can that has a fuse sticking out of it. Now simply light the fuse and run for your life, because homemade explosives are incredibly unpredictable, which by the way is exactly why you should never try this at home. If you can find a medical supply store though, you can enhance your zombie-busting grenades by including a small can of liquid nitrogen in your packaging. The explosive blast of the aerosol can bursting will spray liquid nitrogen in a large area and slow down incoming zombies even more, giving you plenty of time to finish them off. With your homemade grenades, you can probably thin the crowd of zombies substantially, but it's going to be a protracted hit-and-run war. You'll be wanting to stick to the high ground because zombies are notoriously poor climbers, and prepare even bigger and better explosions because seriously, 1,000 zombies is a lot of zombies to kill as just one man or woman. To start taking out large groups of zombies, you'll want to start getting creative or at least mobile. It's time to pimp your zombie apocalypse ride, because the end of the world is here and we're going riding for one last time. Pick a heavy-duty truck of some kind, ideally something with four-wheel drive, and an extended cab for vital supplies. Then you'll want to start affixing all kinds of pointy, sharp, nasty bits to the front of it. You can take lengths of pipe and shear the end off at an angle to make homemade spikes. Simply affix it to the front of your Deathmobile with the help of metal wire ties or a whole lot of tape. Maybe throw in some saw blades while you're at it, though you'll want them perpendicular to the ground so they slice through zombies being run over by your zombie-killing death wagon. You'll need to protect the tires though, so we recommend you take the time to affix mud flaps to each tire. Only place them in front of the tire rather than behind. That way, any zombie getting run over will be forced down by the mud flap and hopefully avoid puncturing your tire inadvertently. Listen, this next part is easy. All you have to do is ride now. Just take a cruise up and down your city's blocks, mowing down zombies like it was going out of style. Because pretty soon it will be. To make sure your vehicle doesn't get stuck in all the gore, just snap some cold weather chains onto your tires to give you traction even in the slickest, most zombie guts-filled streets. At this point, you'll just have to avoid getting jumped while going to and from your zombie-killing death wagon, because once you're inside that bad boy, there's nothing The Walking Dead can do to stop you from winning this epic matchup. Now that you know how to defend yourself, your next mission is to click this video right here, or this one over here.